Today's voiceover talent is more than just a pretty voice. Today's voiceover talent has to be a boss, a VO boss. Set yourself up with business owner strategies and success with your host, Ganguzza, along with some of the strongest voices in our industry. Rock your business like a boss, a VO boss.
Welcome, everybody, to the B.O.S.S podcast. I'm your host, Ganguzza, along with my beautiful co-host, Gabby Nistico. Hi, Gabby.
Hello, Ann.
You know, Gabby, the other day I had a very interesting comment on one of my Facebook posts, and it seemed to come from nowhere, out of left field, and it was so, how shall I say, upsetting. And I think the only way that I could classify this type of a comment on a thread would be trolling. Trolling. Have you had an experience with trolls?
Have I had experience with trolls? Let's see, the ones under the bridge or the ones that live all over social media? Both.
Trolling, that, I don't know. There's a whole psychology, Gabby. I mean, we could talk about the psychology of trolling and why people do it. But trolling essentially, guys, for anybody who's not familiar with that term, is, Gabby?
It's bullying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really what it is. It's a form of online bullying, and it's a way for people to, in a slightly removed, somewhat anonymous fashion, start lots of on the internet and potentially do everything from ruining someone's day and their mood, if you let it, of course, to being very condescending and very mean. And I mean, really, there's so many different levels of this process, but in a sense, anytime someone just kind of comes out of left field on a social platform and takes it upon themselves to be very critical without that criticism having any constructiveness about it.
Or validness,
or validity, or really anything other than just a mean-spirited opinion, you have a troll on your hands.
First of all, you don't even know that it's a troll sometimes. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, that's odd. And sometimes it may start off being very timid, but then it might just escalate very quickly into, the first time I had it happen, it was, oh my gosh, it escalated out of control, post after post after post, calling me, actually, and I'll tell you what it was about. Somebody was calling me a fraud, selling my vocal throat spray, talking about, the FDA was going to crack down and they had called the police on me.
Oh my
by
God.
that time, when it got to that level and it was posting all over my groups, and it was coming from a particular person, which I couldn't validate. And I think we need to talk about that on Facebook. Like, I don't even know who this person was. And there's no information on them. But it was so upsetting because I didn't even know how to stop it. I kept trying to delete the posts. And then you're like, oh my gosh, how do I block this person? It was traumatic.
So I think for voice actors, the thing to understand first and foremost is the more you put yourself out there, the more you promote, the more active you are on social media, the more you open yourself up to these types of individuals. So the first time or the first couple of times it happens, it can be really, really upsetting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's emotional. And so a lot of things happen very rapidly that we want to help you kind of navigate and be prepared for, especially if this has never happened to you. The first is shut down your emotions. Do not allow yourself to become reactionary, because becoming reactionary is typically exactly what these individuals want.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it creates a situation that then rapidly spins out of control and becomes childlike, and that's where you get into name calling, and it all just goes to hell.
And you don't want that to reflect badly on you. That's number one. That's why you want to leave your emotions out of it and try to understand that it is a troll. And when that happens, if you start to feel yourself getting emotional and out of control, a really good thing to do is to maybe call someone and let them talk you down off the cliff, the proverbial cliff, so to speak, because you might very well want to just be so angry and respond. But I think for me, it's helped for me to either text somebody or call somebody and say, oh my God, did you see this post? Or help me, what's going on? Because sometimes when you're not recognizing that it's a troll, they will.
Well, there's two sides to that coin too. So there's the reactionary defensive side that you're talking about, where yes, I mean, you initially go on the defensive and go, oh my God, what the hell's going on here? And like you said, a friend, a colleague can help you to sort of see the situation with a little more clarity.
Yeah.
But there's another, and it's the uglier side to this, which is where I say trolls or bullies. It's the emotional side that causes really negative, depressive type symptoms, or causes someone to kind of go within and become sort of devastated. Equally important to have a buddy system, equally important. And I've had to do that. I've had to do it with Anne, as a matter of fact. I've called you up and gone, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm really, really upset, and I feel horrible, and I feel bad about me. And you need someone to help you in that moment, to give you perspective.
Absolutely.
And to go, no, this is not you. This is not a reflection of you. And you're awesome. And don't allow this to play games on your psyche.
There are times when sometimes it becomes so out of control that you need to block that person or report that person to the authorities. And before that actually happens, because sometimes that's not easy. Like, it's something we don't do every day. So it's like, oh gosh, how do I report? How do I stop? How do I block? I don't know technically how to do this. So in the meantime, the posts continue. And so you do need that support, that extra support of your friend, your colleague. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of times your friends or colleagues online will also come to help you or to your defense. And that's always a nice thing to see, because sometimes it can turn, into something good for you. But in the meantime, while that person is recklessly, out of control with like left field comments, your online buddies can also try to help sway it too.
Well, I think what's interesting is anytime you have a situation where the community can come to your aid, allow them to, and back out of the conversation. The more you retreat and allow others to sort of
take over for you.
Take over for you, the more it kind of vindicates you. I mean, it definitely allows you to not make a mistake you can't take back and then escalate the situation. And it gives outside perspective as to what exactly might be going on. So anytime I've had a troll situation, that's what I do. I literally retreat and I let the community take over. And I've been fortunate enough to have folks come to my defense.
Yeah. Ultimately, it will make the troll look for who they are.
Foolish.
Foolish. And to be the jerk that they are, for the most part. And then during that time when you're retreating, that's when you can find out steps that you may want to take in terms of either blocking the user or reporting the user, if that's the case. A lot of times, these people will just create fake accounts.
Yeah.
So
I think blocking is definitely an essential tool, but and just out of curiosity, because I don't know the answer to this even, is there an official way to report someone on some of the various socials? Is there like a protocol? How does that even work?
On Facebook, there's definitely a way. Actually, on every social platform, there is a way to report and block. It's just not easy to find. For example, Facebook, if you've ever tried to contact technical support for Facebook or help, if you have a problem with, I don't know, anything with, your post isn't going through, your video's not uploading, you're not verified, whatever it is, just trying to get in touch with them in general is difficult. But there is always, if you delve deep into the Facebook, there's a way to block user, usually on the comment or the post. There's little, in Facebook, there's like 3 buttons where you can find out more options. And those options right away could be to block the user. Sometimes blocking is not always the best thing to do right away, because then it might still continue, but you're blocking them so you can't see what they're doing. Right. So it's kind of a weird, what came first. But at the same
time, sometimes too, I mean, I know John Bailey, who's a really well-known voice actor, Honest Trailers, very, very illustrious career. John has been very active on social media since day one. He's been all over YouTube since day one. And he probably has the most extensive database of troll stories of any of us.
Well, you can't say you've made it unless you've been trolled. That's the
right.
There's your
and he, John really, I think, handles it with a bit of grace and a sense of humor, and so take a little bit of inspiration from that. Definitely try to have a sense of humor about these things. I think it really helps. Social media managers at large corporations as well. This is their job. This is what they have to contend with all day long, because trolls attack everyone in every setting, and social media managers are oftentimes very quick with a witty retort or comment or something to just immediately shut that person down. And so, if you have that opportunity, definitely take it.
Yeah. And so what used to be, back in the day when you'd have that bully at school, now it's become online bullying, and it's a real thing. And we want you guys to know that we get it. It is a real thing. It can be truly upsetting. And, it's something that does occur, and I think that we need to be able to be prepared to take proper steps and to try to just calm down and understand that maybe this isn't a personal attack on you. It reflects more on maybe the person that's doing it, right? Yeah. And their whatever their issues or insecurities are.
Well, I think, too, it's important to understand that it really does happen to everyone. And I think where it's the most disturbing is when whatever you wrote or did or whatever your part or piece of it was, when it's so mild or so innocent and you go, holy cow, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And you really do have to understand at that point, it doesn't have anything to do with you. But there is another piece to this. And I think it's important to note that there's a line, there's a distinct line in the sand between when someone's being a troll or a bully and when they're being threatening, and when it is clearly grounds to call in law enforcement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there is a legitimate line there, and you have to be cautious that if someone is making threats against you, bodily harm,
absolutely,
or your family, or that is when all of that content needs to be taken to the police, and you need to go, look, I need to take steps to protect myself because this is just now dangerous,
and to not engage. And to do everything in your power to not engage, because a lot of times that will just encourage more of the actions. And really, you guys take that to heart, what Gabby just said, that when it becomes threatening, and the thing of it is that these days it's not really hard to find out. There's a lot of social engineering that goes on. Before the internet was so popular, I mean, there used to be, they would call social engineering, and people would hack into your systems because that was when people had face-to-face interaction, and a social networking or a social engineer for a hack would be you met somebody face-to-face and you kind of stood behind them while they were, typing their password maybe, or you noticed the entrances and exits to the building that weren't locked at certain times of the day, or you noticed a pattern of when people went into work. That was what social engineering was when you were intending to do harm. And now it is now online. And so it's something that you just need to be aware of, that it exists, and be of the mind that when you start to feel uncomfortable, really uncomfortable, it really is time to sit back, disengage, and think about possible reporting or getting authorities involved. Yeah,
because understand too, there is an odd piece of celebrity and fandom to what we do.
Yeah.
You might be sitting back and going, oh, I'm not well known yet, or I haven't really done anything that would make anybody pay attention to me. That's not how crazy brain works. If you're talking about an unstable person or someone who's a potential threat, it doesn't work that way. I mean, they could just become obsessed with your voice, your persona, a job that you did, and it can rapidly spiral out of control. And I mean, yes, we do have stalkers in this industry. Sometimes a troll can literally move from a totally cyber environment into real life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's when it becomes scary. So, you just have to be aware, be smart. Outside of that, though, I think, for the troll environment, and this is where it kind of gets a little wacky too. sometimes these folks are people we know. They are other people in the industry. They might be a fellow voice actor. They might be a coach. They could be any number of people.
My last one was somebody I knew.
Yeah, same here. So the question really then becomes, Anne, what's the etiquette moving forward? Meaning, if you have to find yourself in a social engagement with this person in the real world, face to face, then what?
Well,
how do you approach your troll later?
I don't know, Gabby, if you knew this about me or not. I know you do, actually. I'm not shy about just directly addressing an issue if I don't feel comfortable. It's just in my personality. And so, for example, one of the past incidents that happened was a very passive aggressive post, a few of them, as a matter of fact, and then a text. And I know this person, and so if I were to see this person in a social situation, I would have no idea. I would have no problem saying, you know what, that really wasn't funny, and I'm not quite sure where you were going with that, and what's wrong with you?
Right.
And that's how I would do it. But I was not, in this particular instance, I was a mild troll, but it was definitely a troll. It did not affect me, or I did not feel as though I was physically threatened in this particular instance. If that were the case, then I would make every effort not to even.
Well, yes, of course, of course,
for sure. But I would have no problem addressing and saying, "Look, it wasn't funny," and then just see where it took me. What about you?
Okay. It's interesting because I don't know if I have a good answer for it. My last troll experience was so bad. I mean, I think that there's part of my personality that once would go, I would just march right up and go, what are you doing? What was that?
Yeah.
Why? And there's part of me that wants to almost say, you know me, but you don't know me well enough to understand how your words may have impacted me. And that's really the most upsetting thing.
Yeah, very true.
And then there's another part of me that goes, I would probably just smile, nod, and do my best to not actually have to engage. Yeah. And to basically dance around them most of the night or skirt around them and not have to actually have that kind of conversation, because at that point I've got to go, you're no friend of mine. We don't, there's no need for us to communicate further.
Right. Exactly. So,
but
good stuff.
But yeah, it's true, guys. I mean, you really, honestly, in a weird way, you have to kind of go, well, I haven't made it till
been trolled.
somebody on the internet has decided it would be fun to cut me down or attempt to. Laugh about it, find the humor in it, and know that you're not alone in that. And again, we're a great community. We come to each other's defense, and trust me, your friends they'll rally behind you.
They will rally, and all will be right.
Yep.
All right. Big shout out to our sponsor, IPDTL, for quality connection and recording. And you guys, I want you to have a kick butt week, stay focused, and rock your business like a boss.
Make sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, Stitcher and iTunes for podcast subscribing.
And B.O.S.S.com for exclusive content and offers. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Join us next week for another edition of B.O.S.S. with your hosts, Ann Ganguzza and Gabby Nisterko. All rights reserved. Ann Ganguzza voice talent in association with 3 Moon Media. Redistribution with permission. Coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.